Hey, welcome back to another episode of LLC with me, David Wintzer. God, it's another beautiful day. It's actually not. It's snowing a lot right now, and it's like, it shouldn't be. It was like 50 degrees last week, and now it's snowing, and it's actually not a beautiful day, weather-wise that is. But let's just say, spiritually, we're feeling good. It's a beautiful day in the heart, and another lesson to be learned, I guess. We're here to have a conversation, some things that we've learned along the way. As you know, it's my belief that we're all going to grow from these lessons, these LLCs that we learn along the way. And if we can just have a little bit of a conversation about it, I think we can all grow, we can all get better, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to just kind of grow. And so, today I want to talk about just like a little bit of a live scenario that's happened to me on one of my job sites recently, and it's just definitely a lesson learned and a growth phase for all of us. And it was just a bummer, but I was like, fuck, this is great content for the podcast. Let's go. So, I was talking with one of my subcontractors, and, we ran into a massive issue. We're trying to finish this house in about 6 weeks. We'll be done with this house in 6 weeks. We've been telling the owner we're going to turn over the keys in 6 weeks. And we've been on schedule the entire time. We gave him a date that we were going to hit, and we've been on it. We have been on it. We get to a certain phase, and we realize that we're out of material. We have 1 week of finishing this scope of work. 1 week. And the subcontractor comes and says, hey man, I don't think we have enough material to finish this project. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how are we just finding this out now? You guys have been here for like a month or two working on this project. And we're finding out the last week that you're done that we may or may not have enough material. He's like, well, that's what my guy said. And I was like, well, you need to come to the job site right now and talk to your guy, and you need to do a count and a takeoff and confirm if that's accurate. Because if it is, I need to order this soffit, this siding material, yesterday. This is big. This is a big, big deal. We had no idea if we were short or not. 5 days before we were supposed to be done. This soffit material is an 8 to 12 week lead time. We're turning over this house in 6 weeks. That math don't add up. So we've been on schedule this entire time. And this instantly just sliced us. Just cut us right at the knees. I was fired up. I was so pissed. I was like, hey, get here. So they get there. They find out that we're short. We're 40 pieces short. How the fuck are we 40 pieces short on a material that we've had months to find out if we were going to be short or not? Why are we not doing takeoffs halfway through? Why are we not doing takeoffs every other week? What system are you doing to make sure we don't run out of material? He doesn't have a system. We don't have a system. What kind of communication are you doing? I don't. So in all the houses you build, how are you making sure that this siding is readily available? I'm not. I don't have anything. Maybe you need to implement it. These are the things I'm saying. I'm pretty heated. I have a really good relationship with this guy. I'm never yelling. I never yell at people, but this one hit me. I was really fired up with this one. I was like, man, we've worked so hard to hit this schedule on time, and we were going to do it, and now we're not. In construction, there is one thing that will make or break your business: your schedule and your bottom line. And that's having the materials there on time. If you don't have materials, you can't build. And if you can't build, you can't hit your schedule. And if you can't hit your schedule, you're losing money. Because when you don't hit your schedule, when you bleed out months, weeks, whatever it is, when you bleed that out, you now are taking your crew, your people, your resources away from stepping into the next job. You're finishing this job, you're going to the next job. You get paid on this job, you start the next job. You can't get paid on my job until it's finished. And you can't start that next job until this one's finished because you don't have the manpower. Or let's say you have a crew of 4 and they're all on my job, but the next job just started. So you split your crew up. So now you got 2 and 2. So your crew on my job is not working that efficiently and the crew on the other job isn't working that efficiently. So you told that other builder you'd be done in a month, but you only have 2 guys working there for the first week or so. So you're already behind schedule on that other job because you don't have the effective full crew that you had allotted for to do that job in the days that you told that contractor you would do it in. And now my job is going on longer than you thought. And then you started that other job late and you don't have the full crew. So in turn, you do that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a year. You're losing money. You're losing a lot of money because you could take on 1 or 2 more houses. If you don't have the materials on site to build, you're behind schedule. And if you're behind schedule, you're losing money, period. The impact of a material shortage on a project schedule it's everything. The role of communication between contractors, subcontractors, and suppliers is so important. You know, as me and my subcontractor and I, we're talking about this. We're going over it. We're kind of hashing out. I'm heated. He's heated, and then he goes in his car. He's on the phone. I'm making phone calls. I'm making emergency phone calls to the siding company. I'm like, hey, I need to order this like now. I'll give you a credit card over the phone. Like, oh my God, this is not good. It's not good. And then once I had a minute to cool off, I went over to his truck and I was like, all right, dude, like here's my frustrations. And I laid them out. I was like, dude, this mismanagement on both sides led to the delays. Like, we didn't communicate. Like, why do you not have a system? Why this? And he was like, David. And he starts laying out the things that we did throughout this project, the things that we did to slow him down. We weren't efficient in letting him do his job. We were like, hey, we need you guys to start here. And then like, oh, after this, go over here so we can get the fireplace guys ready. And then go over here so we can get the metal guys ready. So they weren't able to get like a system. They weren't able to get efficient. They weren't able to do stuff. And he's like, David, when I do that, 1, it slows me down. But 2, it's really hard to understand what kind of material I need. When you're having me work on the north side, so then you can have the HVAC guy come, do his venting or something. And then you jump me over to the south side so you can get, the metal guy to start getting his field measurements, blah, blah. And then you jump me inside to do this so the fireplace guy do this. He's like, it was really hard to get a material takeoff when we're all over the board. We're all over the board. This project, we've just been jumping around like chickens, just hop, 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 hop. And he's like, that made it really difficult. And I was like, okay, noted. I hear you. I did not know that. And as we started working it through, it was evident that it was both of our faults. But I was like, at the end of the day, you're the subcontractor. You perform this scope 10 times a year. I perform it once, twice, 3 times a year. And you know what goes well, what doesn't go well, what works, what doesn't work. I need your help and your guidance to stay ahead of that. I would suggest that every other week, when your guys are rolling up the cords, have them roll it up a half an hour early every second Friday and do a takeoff. Stay ahead of it. Because now you're going to be done with this project in 4 days. And I'm going to wave goodbye to you. And you're not going to get paid the remainder because you haven't finished the job. Because we don't have the material to finish the job. So we're going to wave goodbye, say thanks for coming. I'll see you in 3 months to come back and finish this job, and you get your final payment. So this guy's going to be waiting for final payment for 3 more months. He doesn't want that. I don't want that. I got to tell this client that this house is going to be delayed. I don't want that. But it is. So this house is going to be delivered on time, and this guy's not going to get paid because he hasn't completed the job. He'll get paid for the work he's done up to this point, but he's got to come back and finish the job. So the fact that we were short on this delayed our project significantly. It hurt us because now we're still going to be in this project. We thought we'd be done and out of there in 6 weeks. Now we're not. What happens when we're at projects longer? It gives the client more opportunity to give us ideas, suggestions, things that they want to change, things that are wrong. We can't do our final punch list and get out because now we're still not done. So what really pissed me off about this was that we found out so late. But I learned that me and my team need to start asking that question sooner. When do you need material? When is that material going to arrive? If some material is missing, the entire workflow is disrupted in the entire house. If one of the trades gets backed up, paint, drywall, flooring, tile, cabinets, that delay compounds across multiple jobs. Schedules start stacking up. People get busy. Like I tell the plumber, hey, I'll be ready for you in 3 weeks. And then the guys before him, they go out, they bleed out. And I say to the plumber, hey, man, it's not going to be 3 weeks. It's going to be 6 weeks. And he's like, Dave, dude, like in 6 weeks, I'm starting a massive job. I got a 10,000 square foot home and I'm doing a 50-person apartment complex. I can't put you on my schedule in 6 weeks. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, dude, you told me you'd be ready for me in 3 weeks. I penciled you in. I put you in my books. And now you're telling me 6 weeks. In 6 weeks, I'm starting a massive job with a contractor that I've been trying to work with forever. I can't show up to this job late. I'm like, what does that mean? Well, you either got to get me in there in 3 or 4 weeks, or you're going to have to wait 10. That can be an impact if you delay your job. And that's all because the guys before weren't managed by you properly. They didn't have the proper materials. They didn't communicate. They sucked at their schedules. So all these things add up. They create all these bottlenecks. The miscommunication between contractor and subcontractor and vendor, supplier can be catastrophic when it comes to schedule. And your schedule is everything to making money. This is a big misconception. People don't really realize how much money they're losing when they deliver a project behind schedule. 99% of construction projects are not delivered on time because no one's taking the time to figure out the lead times, to figure out if they ordered enough material, to stay ahead of the material ordering, to communicate over and over and over. And when you don't make that communication, you don't get the material there on time. And when you don't get the material on there on time, you're behind schedule. When you're behind schedule, you lose money. This is the problem that a lot of people don't realize. How much money you're actually losing when you're behind schedule. A lot of contractors say, that's fine. Do whatever. We told you we'd be done in 2 months. It's going to take 3 or 4. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. You just delivered that project 2 months late. You do that with all your projects. You're now only able to take on 4 or 5 projects a year rather than 6, 7, 8 projects a year. You're literally losing money in your business. So our lesson learned, our LLC was we didn't give this guy a clear path to work. We had him jumping all around the house from one area to another. And then we also didn't communicate with him, hey, we need to have some material takeoffs with you. Like we need to make sure that we're staying ahead of this. Let's sit down every 2 weeks and just kind of like as a team, just do a quick measurement and make sure we're there. He had difficulty keeping track of the inventory due to the inconsistent workflow that we provided him. This was a lapse in management on our part. There's a lapse in our systems. And this led to the oversight from him and from us. So the solution to be proactive on material management. If you're a builder, have consistent meetings with your subcontractors about materials ordered. Set clear expectations for those takeoffs, material inventory, when you want to do it. Ensure your team provides a clear path for your subs to execute their work. Don't give them roadblocks. Don't stack a bunch of trades in the house so they can't work efficiently. Make sure that they have a clear path to do what they need to do so they can work effectively and build and execute their scope of work in the time that they said they could do it in. If you're a subcontractor, you need to always ask, when do you need me? Where do you need me? You need to plan your schedule accordingly. You need to make sure that you're staying on top of your material. If you're a painter, and you're calling your paint company and they're 2 weeks out, you better be calling them and ordering that paint 2 weeks before you're on that job. Don't be getting on that job and then, oh shit, I don't have the paint. If there's a storage issue, communication about your material needed on site, you need to have that conversation early. If you need a lot of room to store your product, you got to let that general contractor know, hey, I need the garage space for all this material. Okay, I don't know if we can do that. Contractors, builders, subcontractors, do a bi-weekly material check-in. Don't wait until you run out, like me. Because now I'm delivering this product and this house late. That sucks. That really sucks. That made me so mad. Be disciplined about tracking what's on site versus what's needed. Material inventory is huge. You don't have material on site to build, you can't build. If you don't have concrete, you can't pour concrete. If you don't have lumber, you can't frame. If you don't have siding, you can't put the siding on. If you don't have the plumbing, if you don't have the counters, if you don't have the cabinets, you don't have the floor, you don't have the drywall, you don't have the paint, you don't have the tile, you can't do anything. Stay ahead of the long lead items and adjust your schedules accordingly. My biggest mistake was I knew this siding was a 12-week lead time because we ordered it 12 weeks before. And I didn't be proactive enough to say, hey, this is a really long lead time. We need to make sure we stay ahead of this inventory. And if we don't, and we get caught with our pants down, I'm going to be really mad, and it's going to affect us all. So let's stay ahead of that. The number one rule of construction scheduling: the only thing you need to deliver a project on schedule is the material. Then you got to have the guys do their job, obviously. But without the material, you will never deliver a project on schedule. Duh. Without material, there is no schedule. Period. Communication about materials is the single most important driver to a successful build. I knew this, and I failed to execute it. This was my lesson learned. This was my mistake. This was something that I had to learn the hard way. And now I got to go to this client and tell him, hey, this house is going to be late. I'm going to make sure that I release this episode after I have that conversation with him so he doesn't listen to this and find out his house is late. Because let's be real, he's listening to this podcast. Everyone's listening to this podcast. It's the number one podcast in the world. Don't look it up. Number one podcast in the world. Don't look it up because you know what? T-Dub, Tiger Woods is going to be on the show because Tiger Woods knows how to build a house and get the material there on time because he's the GOAT. So what went wrong? A miscommunication, a lack of tracking, and an assumption that the materials were accounted for. We just assumed. We ordered all the material. It's all here. Let's go. Wrong. That's on me. It's also on the subcontractor. We got to share the blame. I had that conversation with him. Hey, man, I'll take some of this blame for sure, but this is on you too. I'm going to get better at my system, but I'm also going to lean on you to help me with the system. You side houses every day. This is what you do. Come to me and teach me about what works really well with other builders, about what you hate with other builders that they do, about how projects always run out of material, how the projects fall behind schedule. What are the things that work well? What are the things that don't? Educate me a little bit better. Because I'm only siding a couple houses a year. You're siding 10, 15 houses a year. So clearly, you know more than I do. So educate me a little bit. After we hash it out, communicated about it, where we lost track, we said we'll come up with a game plan to get better. So what was the consequence? A massive delay that could have been avoided. That's my LLC. My lesson learned for today's conversation. If you want to avoid delays, communicate about the material needed. If you're going to need a couple extra boxes of tile, that's a custom order, you might need to measure for that tile and make sure you got enough of it. That's a big deal. And if you don't do it, you're going to be behind schedule. And if you're behind schedule, you're losing money. Fact. I've run out of steam on this one. I'm behind schedule, I guess. Man, come on, guys. If you haven't subscribed, if you're already at the end of this episode and you have not paused this episode, pull over your damn car, get off the damn treadmill, stop your damn walk, take a break in the work, unless you're building my house, don't take a break. And just rate and review this, man. Subscribe, drop some stars. Help me grow this thing, please. I really appreciate it. I see your guys' comments. I see your words of encouragement. It means a lot to me. I know which one of you guys are out there supporting it, and I appreciate it. It means a lot. That's all I got. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.